co-founders of Edgy Inc. With my partner Joe, who is the smarter one. Every relationship has to have a smart person and then someone who just does all the crazy shit that no one else wants to do. As Rajesh said, over the last 6 years, we've been able to help our clients generate over $17 billion in new revenue. And by the way, this is not companies who generate $17 billion. This is brand new top-line revenue. And what I want to share with you is a secret how we do it. And so normally when you have a consultant talk to you, it's like a whole big wind-up and a big pitch. At the very end, it's like, if this is church, come put your money in the hat, right? But there's none of that. I just want to share it with you. But it doesn't make any sense to share the exact strategies with you if you don't understand the mindset. So in any sort of engagement at Edgy Inc., we think about generating revenue in kind of three buckets. One is the idea of mindset, how you think about the world, your perspective on the planet. The second bucket is this idea of methods. And these are the things that you hear bantered around on the web. You know, growth hacking, marketing hacking. I mean, add hacking to any word, and that's now what someone on LinkedIn is writing about, right? You know, SQL, MQL. You've heard, am I the only one who knows all these letters, right? These are things that we talk about on a daily basis. And we pretend like we know what we're doing, like moving things from one bucket to the next, hoping that it actually ends up generating revenue. So these are methods. And I'll share some methods with you. But the real thing that you came here tonight to hear about is the third end. And this is what I call magic, right? How many of you like magic? Come on. I think everyone loves magic. So I have to admit, I'm a little bit of a sucker. There's this show, America's Got Talent. This is a good show, right? I'm not even, like, it doesn't even matter what country it is. I don't even know if I can speak the language. Like, every once in a while, Google knows that I'm addicted to this show and, like, serves me up, like, Japan has got talent as well or something. And I don't even know what they're doing, but I love magic because, and this is where it's fun. This is where it's fun in business, when you can create magic, because if you think about magic, it's the opposite of what any of us should like. Like, someone's fooling you, right? And like, I have kids, and you know, like, you even brought your mom here. Like, you know, when you want him to do something, you don't want him fooling around or like telling you lies, right? You want him to do exactly what he says he's going to do. But in magic, we tell you we're going to lie to you. We tell you we're going to fool you, and then we do it, and you thank us with a smile, right? How cool is that? So we'll talk a little bit about that magic. So I use the word awesome a lot, as Rajesh says. But I want you to know that we use this word pretty seriously, even though it's one of these words that might, for some of you, seem unquantifiable. I'm going to share a little bit about those rules. But none of this would work without, this is my beautiful 6-year-old daughter. And so I live in South Carolina, and this is actually, surprise, surprise, frozen water. And I know this is not like you know, the usual 8K display or whatever we're viewing now. But behind this is actually like ice. So like once every 75 years, it gets cold in South Carolina, and it ices up. And this is actually a dam, and we're hiking for, I don't know why, for some reason, maybe it was my wife's idea, and we're hiking on this very cold day, and there's water, and of course as a dad, I said, like let's stay on the edge, like let's not get in the water. I turned my back for 4 minutes. Can anyone guess where she's at? Like, she's on the dam, like that's water, that's probably frozen like a millimeter. It's not even really frozen, right? If you touch it, it breaks. And she's doing her usual thing, telling me how awesome she is. By the way, this is a picture of the same girl jumping into a bin at Walmart of stuffed animals, and I had to like fish her out. Like, you've seen those wire bins, you know, she just jumps in head first. And then, so this is what's interesting. So she comes to me, as you can see, look, this is the same day, on the same girl, the same day. So while we're shopping, she says to me, Dad, I need you to buy me a new dollhouse. And as any dad, like if you have daughters, right? I have 2 sons and a daughter. Like the 2 dudes, I'm like, as long as they're alive, I think it's okay. Like, they're just, like, carry on, they're good, exactly, it's right. Okay, did you eat? You know, once a week you should take a shower, do all that necessary stuff. By the way, teenage boys in showers, I don't know what that is. Well, like, just get your butt in the shower. You're gonna do it for the rest of your life. Just learn how all that whole process works. And by the way, not 40 minutes, like 4, right? That's the thing. Okay, but back to daughters. So my daughter, she says to me, Dad, I need a new dollhouse. So here's how ridiculous I am as a father. Did I question? No. I'm like, she needs a dollhouse. Let's get this girl a dollhouse. So at the store, we bought her a dollhouse. I brought it home, And then my wife said to me, oh, she already has a dollhouse. But see, what I didn't know was, like, both things were true. Like, she had a dollhouse. I actually pulled up the security video footage, which is like what this picture is right here. And not black and white, like full color. What you don't see on the top of that is when that piece of wood comes down, there's a blade on the end of that piece of wood. It's actually my mallet that she stole from my tools or dug out of my tools. And she decided she needed a new dollhouse, so she chopped up in pieces her old dollhouse and threw it in the big bin that we take to the curb each week. Now you do pre-sales, so you know this is a lot of effort to get a new dollhouse. This is way more effort than some of your team members are putting in, right? I mean, so here I am thinking like, you know, she needs a dollhouse. She had one, she didn't want it, she got a new one. And I was thinking, okay, my wife, was she happy? She's like very upset, right? This is awful. For me, I'm thinking, now that's awesome. Now, what you have to know about my 6-year-old daughter too is, from the day she was born, she had like her own room. How many of you have boys? They like 5 of them in a room and then one daughter and she gets the whole room to herself? This is how it was with us. We had our own room painted pink, with like, even like you go to the store and you can buy those stickers you put on the wall, right? Beautiful. Here's the problem. She doesn't like to sleep in her own room. And you have kids like that want to sleep with you? This is totally not cool, right? At a certain point, like 1 or 2 times it's cool. For 6 years, not cool. But we learned this little secret. So the bed's on one side of the room, across the side of the master bedroom, there's this couch. So I've learned how to get my 6-year-old daughter to be the slightest bit distracted. And she loves to watch videos on YouTube. How many of you ever watched a kid watching videos on YouTube? How many have to, yeah. How many of you have noticed how like really, really smart they are at like, if they don't like a video, they just like, it's gone. It's like 4 seconds. If they don't like it, they're on to the next video. As an adult, you're like, well, maybe it's coming. Maybe the cat's gonna jump and the dog's gonna do the thing and I'm gonna giggle and it's gonna be fun. And they're like, didn't happen fast enough. On to the next one, on to the next one. Now, all of these, some of you are thinking like, what the heck? All of this have to do with anything? I began to realize all of a sudden in watching my daughter's behavior, like this right here is the secret to what I try to explain to customers on a daily basis. See, my daughter instinctually knows what awesome is. Like if I were to ask her, why do you flip to the next video? She doesn't really know. She can't explain it to us, especially in like business terminology. She doesn't have like Silicon Valley, explanations for why she doesn't like it. She just knows it didn't make her feel awesome, and she moved on to the next experience. Now, the direct opposite of that is what most of our sales and marketing, or I'll just say revenue programs look like. And they don't start off that way. They actually start off pretty simple and kind of awesome. But what happens is over time, you'll hear someone like me. I don't have an idea. And you'll actually hear that, credibly, this guy's made somebody some money over his lifetime. And you'll take something I say and apply it to your existing sales and marketing process. And you just slightly twist it, right? And you go along for a while and maybe that works. Maybe your growth hacking experiment works. It's like, oh, that's great. And then 6 months down the road, it's not getting results. And you talk to somebody else and they say, oh, you should follow this strategy. And so you kink it back the other way. And you do this 4 or 5 times and it looks pretty messy. Like for some of you, you can't even look at that, right? It's pretty gnarly after a couple seconds. You're like, why is this guy up here doing this to my eyeballs? And this usually, after the first few meetings with a client, is instantly what we see. It's like what started off pretty simple, what started off kind of awesome, right? Now is pretty ridiculous on the eyeballs. How many of you have been in a revenue situation like this? Like you're looking at it and you're like, the pieces are adding up? No one's been in a situation like this? Look around, look at the other people who have in a situation where it doesn't add up. All the bullet points seem to make sense, but overall it doesn't seem to make sense. So here's what I've realized. This is something we tell all of our clients. So you don't necessarily have to do much different. The first step you have to do is to look at this situation completely different. Because if we look at this different, what we actually look at changes, right? I'm a trail runner. I do these ultra races, 50, 100 miles. It sucks for most of it. If you're thinking like, how do you do it? You just do one step in front of each other. That's literally how you do it. But when you're running on a trail, you can only see sometimes 5 or 6 feet ahead of you. especially if it's nighttime. What's interesting though is as you're running through trails up mountains, you'll get to the top of a mountain, and as long as you can, the sun's out and sunlit, you can see for like miles. And whereas before, you could only see 5 or 6 feet in front of you, if you change your position, if you change your perspective, all of a sudden now you can see things a whole lot differently. So that's what we're going to try to do. So the only KPI that really matters for us in any engagement is this one, momentum. How many of you have ever measured momentum or been a part of a company, sales process, sales engine that measured momentum? You know, I don't think I've ever done a talk or an explanation where I brought up momentum, where anybody in management or leadership or on the sales team or even like the janitor who cleans the floors at the company at which I'm talking has ever been a part of a company that measured momentum. And let me tell you, this is the single greatest key performance indicator on if you're going to hit your goals. And this, what we ask ourselves, by how much are we going to exceed our goals? The only way to know and measure that is if you're tracking momentum. Now, there are only 2 rules to being awesome, and I'm going to give them to you right up front. So this is mindset right here. This is all the mindset, right? There's only 2 rules. Number 1, to be incredibly easy to do business with. How many of you have tried to spend money with someone, maybe as a homeowner, and it was really, really hard? Like someone took forever to give you a proposal back. Someone like they tried to explain it to you, they're like, that doesn't make sense, I'm confused, and then it seems a little shady, and the longer it goes, that conversation goes, you feel like, yeah, this is probably not happening. So the number 1 rule of being awesome is it has to be incredibly easy to do business with. For a long time, and now that I think what we do is now a little more complex, and we take equity in companies and invest in companies from time to time. Now we actually have paperwork. Can you believe it? For a long time, we worked for clients with no paperwork at all. No clients, no paperwork, no contracts to sign. And here was our model. If you pay us, we come to work, and we do work, and it's awesome. And if you no longer think it's awesome, we stop working. Now, another thing we did that made this really, really easy to do business with is we said on everything we do, we have a 200% money back guarantee. And here's what's cool about this. If you've got a no money percent back guarantee, that's not awesome, right? It's kind of like, even your basic grocery store's got a money back guarantee, or you get a product swap or something like this. If you have a 100% money back guarantee, and you'll see this on sites, 100% satisfaction guarantee. It's a ridiculous thing to put on your shopping cart because it's kind of assumed, right? So what's the awesome solution to that? It's this. If you're not happy with what we're doing, not only will I give you your money back, I'll match it with my own. Now, talking about perspective, again, this is mindset. How does that change how you think and act and behave? Right? If I have to give you my money, I'm probably going to level up right from the start. It also reduces the risk of you as the buyer wondering, what if I don't get what I want? The number 1 question that prospects think inside their head that they'll rarely ask you out of their mouth. What if I don't get what I want? What if I spend all this money and I still don't get what I want? Well, not only do you get your money, you get some of mine. Pretty good. Pretty easy to do business. Now, by the way, not having paperwork can also be a problem. If you're doing legal work, if you're doing accounting work, if you're doing investing work, if you're doing some other things that we're now involved in, you need paperwork, right? So our attorneys have now come this into me. We have paperwork. You must sign our paperwork. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for all of you. But now the challenge is, how can we be incredibly easy to do business with while having paperwork? Maybe the paperwork's ready. Maybe the paperwork's filled out for you. Maybe it's fun paperwork. Maybe it says, like, our mission's to be badass, and you agree to let us be badass for you, right? Maybe the paperwork's fun and not just a pain in the ass that you have to sign, right? So 1, be incredibly easy to do business with. And if you look at the companies who do that, then you'll notice that they all share something in common. They're like filthy rich, right? So I didn't know this, and maybe I should have known this, but I feel like in some ways I'm an old man in a young person's body. But I was in Starbucks the other day, and I saw in South Carolina, I'm sitting there talking to someone, and out of the corner of my eye, I'm getting distracted. I see people, and a lot of them are like yoga moms or whatever, like coming in when yoga closed, and they would go right up to the counter and like look and then grab a cup and go. How many of you have seen this phenomenon? So I'm watching this happen once, I'm like, whatever, and it happens again. I'm like, these people are stealing coffee off the counter. Like, what is happening? This is not right. Someone needs to report this. So I finally tell the guy I'm talking to, I said, hey, do you notice that people are just coming up and grabbing coffees off the counter? Like, am I seeing this wrong? He said, oh, no. In the Starbucks app, apparently on your phone, not only can you order for the drive-through, but like apparently you can order for like, I don't even know what you call it, the counter-through. Yeah, walk, is that what it's called? I don't even have the app on my phone. I just, when I need coffee, I go in and get the coffee. I don't, you know. You can order it, have it ready, it's sitting on the counter, and away you go. It's incredibly easy to do business with, right? If you think about Amazon, like if I'm traveling and I don't have deodorant, I don't have to go down the street. I go, oh, can it arrive by tomorrow? That's pretty damn cool, right? If you think about people like Betterment and make it really, really, really easy to invest, or Uber, where you know, I remember when I was CEO back in Washington, D.C., when I sold the company in 2008, like it was hard. You had to have like a black car service. You remember these days, like Boston? You must have to rent them out for a whole day just to like follow you or take your clients around. You had to have a driver waiting at the curb. It was a big pain in the butt and a lot of money. And now all of a sudden, like I just boop, and someone's right here, hopefully, pretty quickly. Although it was like 4 miles here from where I'm staying, and it was 23 minutes. Like, WTF, that's your next mission to solve. Like, let Musk do some tunneling or whatever the fuck he's doing, but like, let him do all that, please. Okay, anyways. And look, Southwest, really, really easy as far as boarding, getting on. Chick-fil-A was the first what do you call it, fast food company that was in malls. So before Chick-fil-A, fast food company said we don't want to be in malls because people want to shop. What they forgot was those people, after they're walking on their feet, want to eat. And so they did really well. Also, Apple, I thought it was really cool that, and I'm sure they're not the very, very first one who did this, but I thought it was incredibly cool how you would go to an Apple store and there would be no cashier, right? Just some dude with a beard and a shirt, right, would come along and be like, hey, do you want to buy this? And whip something out of his pocket, and you'd scratch on it, and then he would give you your stuff. You're like, oh, I hope I bought that from a real employee, because this kid in my credit card could be a little weird tomorrow, right? But think about just how easy it is. And then Facebook, we spend thousands of dollars a day sometimes on Facebook advertising. You just hit a button and boom, it's more, and it's gone, and hopefully you get results, right? It's really, really easy for you to spend your money with these people. And there's a really neat formula in sales math of awesomeness, and it's this: if you make it easy for people to spend their money, most of the time they do. They do. It's really that easy. And if you do rule number 1 really well, then rule number 2 is an obvious follow-on. Be incredibly easy to do business with. Number 2, be so awesome people ask for more. Now, if you think about the companies who make it easy to do business with, a lot of them have the same overlap with the companies who are just like so awesome to do more. Like Amazon, right? I think it's pretty cool. Like, I didn't even know, but 10 or 15 of the clothing lines you see on Amazon aren't even like somebody. It's just Amazon spinning off new labels, like knowing what you want and creating new stuff, right? I mean, like Amazon Basics used to have like 5 or 6 products, right? Remember when it first launched? It was like, I don't even remember, but it's like 5 things, and now everything's in Amazon Basics, like from your cord, phone, I mean, all of this is basic. You can get it right now, pretty easy. I also think it's interesting, Hamilton. So every once in a while, anyone see Hamilton in here? Anyone heard the soundtrack? Yeah, I'm going to it in a week. But I mean, the Broadway show was pretty cool. The formula of adding rock music to this American leader way back in the day, you would never have put the two together. If I were to tell you I want to fund a entertainment project and we're going to drop beats to some old white guys who founded a country, you would probably be like, get the heck out of my office, right? And yet, it's like the highest grossing Broadway show of all time, and it's only been out for a handful of years, right? Think about how amazing that is. Also, Netflix, right? How many of you, this shows how many of us are old. Way back in the day, would like go into your queue on Tuesday to make sure you had the right movie coming to you on Friday. Okay, how many of you are nerdy in here now? Yeah, I know all of you should have your hands up, but some of you are being polite. That's fine, I know, right? Remember, now, this is like the best babysitting service in the world. You can turn it on, like leave for days, as long as you have Cheerios next to your kids. They just watch and watch and watch and watch. Actually, the thing that I'm really upset about, Netflix does this thing now where like, are you still there? Yeah. And you're like trying to find the remote, it's been 3 years, like where is it? It's hidden somewhere. Anyways, I don't know who's over there doing this crap, but before that, even things like Cadillac, and I should have added, I added Volvo too, where you don't even have to buy a car or buy insurance. You rent it for a month at a time. For $1,000 a month, $1,100 to be specific, you can get any Cadillac you want, and you can get a new one every 2 weeks. So I think it's an Escalade. Is that a Cadillac Escalade? So if you want an Escalade, in New York City you have this app, boop, 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 I'm over here, kind of like Uber, bring it to me right here where I stand. They bring you this shiny brand new car, here's the keys, your insurance is part of your payment, your repairs, your oil changes, all the crap, it's all part of the same, $1,100, and you've got a car, and if you want a new one, because like, hey, I'm gonna have people in town and we need something that's longer or bigger, they bring you a brand new one every 2 weeks. And think about how things like a subscription car service is changing how awesome that sort of experience really is. So, 2 rules. Number 1, be incredibly easy to do business with. Number 2, be so awesome people ask for more. Now, any company, when I start saying these words, if I didn't have the introduction that Rajesh made about 17 billion, if I didn't have a partner who's returned over $1 billion to investors, you would probably go like, okay, what the heck has this guy done, right? I'm not listening to him, this is crap, like just get out, like all your great ideas. But one thing I found in the busy kind of complex, chaotic business life, we make decisions every day. Some of them are complex, or a lot of them are complex. Should we do this? Should we not do this? In what order should we do this? How should we do this? I've found some comfort in a simple question of measuring what I do and how I do it. It's just these 3 words that you see behind me here. Is this awesome? Or is it awesome? So we're arguing about sales process, right? Maybe? What should we do? We're arguing about the website and what goes on and in what order. We're arguing about pricing, right? Is the pricing right? Is it priced for, we're more expensive than our competitors. We're less expensive than our competitors. We're a subscription. They're a flat rate. There's a lot of things that we can get into a room, and you can leave a room 3 hours later, and everyone's really confused and slightly frustrated and annoyed, and nothing good has happened. And there has to be a way to break past this kind of intransigence, right? There has to be a way to break past this nonsense. And I found it helpful in a simple boardroom setting to ask everyone else in the room, is this awesome? Like, what we're fighting about or talking about or strategizing now, is it awesome? Now, here's a secret. You don't have to fix things that are not awesome. You don't have to fix all of the things that are awesome at the same time. You can get to it a lot later, but it makes no sense pretending like something's awesome when it's not awesome, right? And so just by admitting that, this is not awesome, we should probably take a look at this, it gives us a mindset that allows us to fix that later. Now, again, I'm going to leave the idea of mindset alone right after this slide, I promise you. I wanted to take a couple seconds just to say this. No matter where you are in your business career or life, whether you're a startup founder, work for a really big company like I heard Oracle and Salesforce, I think VMware and some different things, okay. So it doesn't matter where you are. When you change your title from blah, blah, blah of blah, 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 and just say business athlete, it's interesting how your personal care and feeding changes. So we often talk about things like meditation. A lot of people say they do it. I found that a lot more people say they do it than actually do it. Surprise, surprise, right? We talk about hydration. Now in the South, we drink, I learned, and I'm not actually from the South, but I'm from Northern Virginia, we're outside DC. In the South, I've learned everyone drinks this tea, this sweet tea. And that doesn't actually count as water, even though most of it's water. And as a hard-charging sort of guy, I drink a lot of coffee, I found that doesn't actually qualify as well. But simple things like drinking enough water to keep everything moving, right? And you're healthy. And things like how much sugar are you consuming? So I learned this lesson the hard way. The last 6 months I was CEO of my company. Very, very stressful. I was in the middle of deciding whether we were really going to take this company public, which is what the owners wanted, and frankly, we weren't prepared to do that. It was ridiculous. Or sell it. We ended up selling it. And the last 6 months, I was working so hard that 3 times I ended up in the emergency room, and I would just collapse. And so we had kind of floors like this, and I would be walking down, and oof, the next thing I know up, I was like, yeah. And of course, when you fall on something stupid like this, what happens if you bang yourself up and you feel really dumb? And you have more of a headache because now, bang. But I learned the hard way, like this is not sustainable. Like you may be able to skip 2 or 3 nights of sleep, but overall it's going to catch up to you. So I just want to take 2 minutes to be like your mom and say, if you're not empowered, if you're not powerful, if you're not an athlete, you won't be able to execute the methods that I'm going to share with you next. So good? We good? We're on the same page? We agree? So if you think about journaling and planning, if you think about things like waking up in the morning and trying to practice gratitude, and by the way, listen, it's hard. Anyone close to me knows there are things that bother you. There are things that get in your head and make it really hard to live a life that's like, feeling wide open for possibility. But it's something we have to all make a mark to attempt to do. Okay? Mindset really matters. This matters a lot. One of the hardest things that I have to get across to leaders in sales, in revenue generation as a whole, is that, look, I know you're really, really smart. I know you've got a lot of justifications, and you've been to, what are these conferences for sales? I forget, sales and marketing conferences we send our people to. But you have all the wording and process, but the reason why you're failing isn't that you're doing the wrong steps, but you're doing the wrong steps, the right steps, with the wrong mindset. And and by the way, if you have kids at all, you know exactly how this works. Go clean up your room, they clean up 2 things, and 47 things are not cleaned up. And they're like, but I cleaned it up, and it's not really cleaned up, because their mindset was, I did the bare minimum. As a parent, you don't care about the bare minimum. You want all the things cleaned up. It's just a matter of perspective, right? So think about this. Okay. One last thing, you don't have to be perfect to be awesome, right? You can be awesome while you're still working out the kinks. So how do we do this, right? This is the big, $17 billion question. How do you do this? How do you pull this off? So we do something we call theater. In fact, we call it often in discussions the theater of success, right? So how many of you in sales have ever heard the word theater mentioned in a sales conversation ever in your life? 1, maybe 2? Yeah, well, you and I had coffee. No, a few? Well, you don't count either. You don't have, if you had coffee with me, you don't count.
I use it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, often we'll talk sales motions, sales process, sales workflow, funnel, and then 17 other funnel words that are attached to it, right? We'll talk all this thing, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, side of the funnel, all this stuff. We're not using funnels anymore, apparently, according to HubSpot. It's now like windmills or something like this. That kind of go and on and on. Well, what I found to be helpful is this idea of theater. Now, my 6-year-old daughter, we've already talked about her, she's adorable most of the time. When she puts on a play in 1st grade, I don't go and sit and go, those costumes, they're pretty crappy. Someone should have taken more time to do that. I don't go, man, the lighting is horrible. Oh my gosh. Right? I don't do that. Now, I have tickets to Hamilton in a week, and you better believe I'm going to be looking at the stagecraft, and I'm looking at all of it, soaking it in, because, well, it's just the difference. It's the big difference. One is theater, and one is adorable 6-year-old kids. Now, one of the biggest mistakes you'll make in revenue generation is not putting on an act for your prospects. And what that means is, if you hear someone in your company say, it's just ship it, just get it out, just do it, that's a person who just, Mortal Kombat, right? Finish them, that sort of move. It's one of the biggest problems that we run into is that you'll be doing good moves, but in ways that are horribly ineffective at getting the attention of your customer. So, if you can tolerate my handwritten scroll, let me tell you how you do this in 3 phases. Number 1, you have to do your research. And that usually will take 3 or 4 weeks. Then you prep what we call the magic experience of the theater. And then step number 3 is, of course, you deliver the wow. And if you've done 1 and 2 right, then of course you can do this forever. Of course, you notice you can't take shortcuts on this. Most people say, why does it take so long? Why can't I do this tomorrow? I just want to do it. And the problem is that even if you have your ICP, right? We all know this, ideal customer, right? Even if you think you know what your ideal customer is, this is bigger than just knowing who you think your ideal customer is. This is bigger than that. This is about putting on an experience for them. And usually I find people don't have the answers to those questions. Let me tell you a little bit about what I mean by that. So when we're doing our research, it's not just about, this is our ideal customer, or this is our segment of our ideal customer, right? But this is about beyond this. So for example, am I selling in at a female who has a top-down organization? That's going to be different than if I'm selling to a male in a top-down organization. It's different if you sell to a male in a selling up, bottom-up organization, right? Or is this person in a fast growth industry or not? Look, I talk to some leaders sometimes, because I'm introduced the way Rajesh introduced me, and they'll say to me, all right, Dan, what can you do for me? And I generally, like, I want to do something because I want your money, but I'll generally be like this, I don't know. Maybe nothing at all, right? Because that person may not match with our ideal set of skills, and so it just makes no sense to pursue them if not. And so every little detail from the who, what, when, and why, by the way, when really matters a lot. So we go through these business cycles, these seasons. Right now, people are crunching for end of year. We know that from like what, the 19th through the end of the year, like people are gone. Even if you want to do business with them, they're out. Like, too late. Start next year. It's over. Doesn't matter. And then why? And this really, really matters. So I'll share something with you. I was on Fox Business News a few years ago, and I was there to speak with the anchor about marketing. She said, hey, I really want to, I was in New York City, and she said, hey, we'd love to have you on our show. Are you available today? I was like, sure. I had a suit on already, so getting ushered into this room. And maybe it was CNBC. I forget. It was a business show. Well, maybe it was Fox Business News. And I'm sitting in the green room, and like it's not glamorous, right? It's pretty horrible. I'm like looking, and it's like the what do you call it, production studio? Yeah, it's right there, and I can see it. And the person on the screen is someone that you would all know, very famous tech CEO. And he was talking, and doing the right gestures. It's funny because your hands have to be up because they don't see anything that's down here. Hands up, gesturing. Very straight, solemn. And answering questions very, very expertly. And then the moderator was like, the producer said, and we're out. You hear that? And cut, we're out. Boom. And the CEO takes the microphone off. There's like 2 microphones here attached. Takes the microphone and sits down. Where the fuck is my car? What is happening? He must have dropped 16 F-bombs in about 2 minutes. I'm serious. And I'm sitting here, I'm this young, impressionable, good young man. And I'm watching the CEO in a completely, he was angry at his assistant, apparently, who had screwed up something, and there was a meeting that was late, and maybe the segment went on. I mean, it was literally 16 F-bombs in about 2 minutes. And the thought hit me, here I am trying to market to this guy, dear sir. Well, that's not who that guy is. The real guy is the guy who dropped 16 F-bombs in like 2 minutes, right? Now, there's a happy medium, because some of you are thinking, I'm saying drop an F-bomb into your email, and sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. That might be a little too far. If you go that far, you might not be able to come back from that. But I would challenge all of us that the way to really break through on this research phase is taking it to that next level of knowing the person that you're selling to. By the way, you're thinking, how do I do this for 2,000 people? You don't. But we'll get to that in 1 second. No, you don't. So, and of course, how is you? You're the one who do it. So, of course, once you figure out this pattern, then you can keep doing it. Keep doing it. In a previous life, I created a company called Intro Mojo, and this is back when you could run willy-nilly with the web, and we scraped 38 million sales executives. Again, it's cute, right? Intro Mojo. Imagine you don't even meet somebody, but you know their favorite music, and you know what's on their wish list on Amazon, and you know what favorite band they have from Last FM, and what YouTube videos and Vimeo videos they watch, and all that stuff. Until a few years ago was like public. Most people didn't know, and we would just go and scrape it and put it all back together and tell you from a semantic analysis, this person's talking about this on Twitter and Facebook. Unfortunately, all the reportive, I think, dragged all of us down when they had that big mess, privacy mess. But very, very interesting how you can get to know someone pretty quickly. That level of research is really, really, really important if you want to be effective. So what I'm not saying is you should not walk into your office and look at what's our ICP with your director of marketing or whoever's running sales and analysis and go and say, okay, here's who I'm looking for, and go and find them, because that's what everybody else is doing, and it's not effective. Not as effective as you want it to be. Now, once you've done that research, and if it sounds like I'm being a little bit vague, just know that when you do this in 16 or 17 countries and 40 verticals, everything from medicine to AI to IoT and anything between, like, I'm going to be vague because it's different for each one of you, right? Each one of it's different, so I'm not going to give you, like, specifics. But just do your research. Like, what's that one extra thing you have? Now, in any sales cadence, which you might hear the word a lot, cadence, I'm going to use the word theater, like act, you have 2 obvious things, right? Calls and emails. Now, if I were to say we're going to put on a play, and the only things we're going to have inside this room are a microphone and an actor, that's no longer theater. That's stand-up comedy, right? So it's not the same thing anymore. Yet, a lot of our outbound cadences are a series of just these two things. So, I like to use the word instead of email, messages, because I can deliver you messages in a number of ways. I can deliver you messages via Facebook Messenger. I can deliver you messages via LinkedIn. I can deliver you messages via a handwritten note if I wanted to, right? Hopefully it gets to you. Not sent to an address, it's a couple years old. Just happened. Right? If I think about the idea of messages, then it instantly changes this conversation from just sending emails and calls to something a little more specific. Now, we've actually got something else called a box of awesome. I can get to that in a minute. But if you're selling something where your lifetime value is more than $10,000, which like for most of us probably is, right? Then it makes sense to actually incorporate something physical, a physical good, into your outbound messaging cadence. Okay? And by the way, here's another mistake people make. How many of you get cheap shit, like it's just ridiculous, and you instantly make a judgment about that company, right? From that, like a cheap pen or a cheap like coffee cup, and they could have spent $10 more and gotten a Yeti mug that you keep forever. And it's just like, I tell this to my son. My son is 13. I say, this is clever by half, right? Have you heard this phrase? Like, it's not clever at all because like you shouldn't have spent any money at all. Again, it goes back to my two rules: easy and awesome, right? Okay, so you've got calls, emails. Of course, you're going to use your website. You have handwritten notes, box of awesome, some sort of digital assets, blogs and social all together. Facebook Messenger, LinkedIn, other things like that. That allow you to deliver these messages. And then this whole process is just choreography. It's just choreography, right? So, simple rules. And I think I have it on the next slide. Yeah, I'll do it on the next slide. So, this is just choreography. And you create a conversation that you would have in real life in bite-sized chunks, and then you deploy it across all of your messaging channels. Now, for beginners, all you have to do is use the basic tools you have. Right, for calls and emails, right? It's really easy. Everyone's got a phone, everyone's got email. So it's really easy to do. If you get more advanced and can use webhooks and other things like that, then you can instantly say, wait, this person hasn't opened my emails, so I'm now going to find them on Facebook and message them there. Or I'm going to look them up on LinkedIn, make a connection request, and message them there. Or, I'm even more sophisticated, they haven't responded to my email, I can't find them on Facebook, so I'm going to go to LinkedIn, visit their profile 3 consecutive days in a row, then on the 4th day send them a connection request that links back to an email I sent them or a specific landing page on my site. So you can get really, depending on how nerdy you are, you can get really sophisticated with what that experience is. And it just makes sense to all of us, right? The more customized this is and the more out of the box this experience is, the better return on investment you're going to have. Like the more enriched those theatrical conversations are going to be, right? You following with me on this? Okay? I feel like this is the right audience because I can get nerdy and you guys are like already 3 steps ahead of me, so that's good. So what I have found, HubSpot says, hey, you need, after 5 emails, it's really not effective. I think that's wrong. In my experience, I found that you need about 14 steps over 30 business days. Let me explain to you why. And again, I've made billions. I'm sure they've made more billions than me, so maybe they're right. But I feel like I've made enough that maybe I'll give you a good argument here on why you need more than 5 emails. So this is all the same. So here, there is this emotional journey that if you can attach yourself to is so magical. It's so magical. And here's what I mean by that. How many of you ever look for something? Like, I just need a recipe. I don't really look for recipes. What's something I look for? I don't know, a car part or something. That's very manly, So I need a car part, and I might just speak to my phone. Like Google can squeeze the phone, it does search, and then you can say, hey, find me this car part. It makes no sense if I receive the results of that search 7 days later, right? Right? We're bordering a little bit on ridiculous, but I think some of you see where I'm going. It makes no sense to get that information back like anything less than instantaneously. So what we have to do is build our system so that at the very beginning, we know that people are busy, and we are allowing for them to get the maximal use of our experience while still being really, really, really busy. By the way, customers aren't avoiding you unless you're annoying, right? What they are is busy. So it's like, we often get wound up like, no one's getting back to me. Well, one, your emails might be a little sloppy and we can fix that. Or what you should really gamble on is that they're just really, really busy, okay? So what we know is they're not busy when they need an answer. So anytime your client needs an answer, your prospect needs an answer, your boss needs an answer, they are not busy until they get the answer from you, right? And the second they get the answer from you, they go back to being busy. Make sense? Right? They'll even stop by your door, do that awkward lean in, hey, you got the numbers, and you're like, oh shit. Okay, hold on, let me get that for you, right? The second they get the answers, they normally don't stick around and go, hey, so how was your last weekend? And they're usually like, okay, I'll see you in the meeting, gotta go, right? That's how it happens. Your customer's the exact same way. So he'll ask a question or he'll search for something on the web, like how do I find this amazing car part? And for you, your messages should have a high degree of intensity, which means you might send an email, and then you might send a second email an hour later. And maybe the first email is all the blah, blah, blah stuff, and the second email is, oh, shucks, like, I'm sure you have a question. What did I miss? What else do you need? Right? And that's 1 hour later. And then, if that email's opened, of course, you know, not opened once, by the way, opened twice, because if you open an email on an iPhone, if it shows up on your screen, or now Android, by the way, if you do some experiments, if it shows up on your screen, that's now counted as a view, but you didn't really view it, especially if you're busy. Like right now, some dude, Rob, just messaged me, I'm swiping it away, it looks like I read his email. I didn't read his email. But if it's open twice, then you can make a quick phone call and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. Did my email make sense? And of course it did, because they just saw it and looked at it, and that's not creepy. It just needs to be well-trained business behavior, right? Again, think about it as theater. Theater, if it's theatrical, that makes sense. If you're trying to have like a multi-step process that's locked in, right, that probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But my conversion rate will be thousands of % better because it's time limited. So at the very beginning, we send them with maximum information, right? Maximum information. Days 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. I'm assuming you don't know what to do. How many of you ever negotiated a very complex deal with someone very important? Right? So I've been in some of these guys' rooms, like billionaires, right? And not once ever, and correct me for those of you who have, has anyone ever who's powerful and smart and rich said to me, you know, Cadero, gotta tell you, I just don't understand this, right? It doesn't make sense. They usually do this move. All right, well, I'm gonna look at this. Yep. All right, we're gonna get back to you, right? And no one ever says to me, like, hey, could you take 5 more minutes and explain this to me? What's the assumption?
They're not interested.
That's right. If it doesn't make sense to me, you must be stupid, not me. I look how much money I've made. Look how busy I am. Look at my title. I know what I'm doing. You got to get your act together, right? Because this doesn't make sense to me. And so what you should assume is that your client is lazy, he's busy, doesn't really care a lot, cares a little bit, wants to get an answer to his question, and he needs you to walk him or her along this journey to success. And so one of the mistakes people will make is like, I can't do 14 touches in 30 days. Won't that be creepy? Won't that be too much? Won't that lead to more sales is what I say, right? Which is really what we want. So at the very beginning, we're going to send a lot of intensity. By the way, if you send only through one channel, you're going to bore the crap out of your customers. So don't just go email. It's just boring. By the way, if you're married or in a good relationship, that's probably not how you ended up that way. You probably mixed it up. Right? You know? You just don't do the same thing all the time. You know? No, I'm not saying like that, Jack.
This is Silicon Valley.
We went off the rails. But you know what I mean? Like you don't go on a date to the exact same restaurant every time. You don't go to see the exact same movie. You have new experiences. You live a life that's hopefully well-rounded, right? And so that's what those memories, those different experiences are what add charm. So that's what we're gonna do. And then we're going to have a natural, like, taking the pressure out of the balloon. Now, there's some people who are very interested, and they're like, oh, this seems good. You've educated me. I feel good. Like, there's a good simpatico here. Like, this is wonderful. But I still am busy. That hasn't changed. So I want to handle you. I want to deal with you, but I can't. And if you're too combative, if you're too resilient, What happens is you create an environment where there's no way for them to go forward beside to say to you, you got it, like I don't have time for this. And once that happens, by the way, you hear sales books who say, once you hear no 11 times, it's good because you'll hear yes the 12th time. Like those people are idiots. I wonder if they've ever made money. If you get someone saying no, what they're going to keep saying is no. Now, this goes to our rule of like every deal dies, but that's a separate rule. When you're romancing your customer, it makes no sense to do anything that would cause them to say no, right? There's just no way, especially if they have a need for your service. So you want to take a little pressure on the balloon, and then when you've given them a chance to catch up, you can go and do this. By the way, one of my favorite tricks is, the one way to take the air out of the balloon is this. And somewhere in my process, might be after 3 or 4 days, I might say, Jack, I got your address is this, is that right? I'm gonna send you something. And they're like, oh yeah, well shit, that is my address. And then I send them something through the mail, physical good. I'll be like, yeah, it's what we call our box of awesome, hope you like it. A little bit of a witchcraft that we use to, surprise and delight, whatever I'm saying. It's a handwritten note, boom, it goes out the door. Then I don't talk to them for like 7 to 10 days, right? Or whatever the formula is for the customer I'm working with, maybe 4 to 6 days, or 5 to 7 days. But I've used a physical good through the mail. I've created surprise and delight. Once they open it up, they're going to see it. They're like, oh, this is wonderful. At the same time, I've eased back, right? I've eased back on the intensity of my messages. And when they actually see this thing, they're like, oh, wow. Now, because I am nerdy, as soon as the stamps.com pops up and says it's been processed, Webhook catches that, pushes it back into the message sequence, and an hour later, they're getting a message from me going, hey, been a while, just thought about you. By the way, did you get something from me? I know they did because Webhook says it did. But anyways, this is a really cool way to take the pressure out. And then you, of course, by day 30, you're ratcheting up the pressure. Notice the slight downfall. I feel like I'm a meteorologist, slight chance of snow. But right here, listen, you always need to make it easy for a customer who needs to disengage. Please tell me you don't send emails like this. I'm closing my files, and if I don't hear back from you, I'm assuming you no longer want to do business. I'm closing my files as of Friday, right? Or some variation of this email. Again, worked fantastic in 1982. It was amazing. I hear it was like the best email ever. But today's world that's so fake and phony just makes people hate you, okay? And when we put on this theater of success, we want people to love us and do business with us, not hate us, right? That's usually the objective. So over time, we might just say this. One of my favorite phrases is head underwater. Seems like you're buried, your head's underwater. How about I catch back up with you in 90 days? Fair enough. What's funny is 11% of the time, if you haven't responded to me in 14 touches, you'll actually respond to me on that very last email where someone says, I'll say fair enough, and they'll go, yeah, that sounds about right. The first time you've talked to me, and now it's game on, baby. Because now you've shown some life. Now I might even call you and be like, listen, so you said 90 days from now, like, listen, I'm looking at my calendar, I'm busy. What works for you? Like March, April, like when are we talking? Great. By the way, how are you handling this over here? I'm sure you have this problem, right? Because your competitor does. And out of that breath of life comes a phone call, and the phone call leads to something else. And this is well scripted. At the end of that phone call, I'm probably leaving not with the 3 months. I'm probably leaving with like 3 days, and then I'm back in it, right? See how cool that is? But if you don't take the pressure out of the situation here or here, people don't want to talk to you, and they'll just avoid you, right? You have to be really good at sending messages that get a response. After sending millions of emails, let me tell you the number one way to do that. I call it 1-2-1. So no email can be more than 3 paragraphs long. And this is a paragraph, and this is a paragraph, and this is a paragraph. And your first paragraph will have 1 sentence in it, that's it. Your second paragraph will have 2 to 3 sentences in it. And your third paragraph will have 1 sentence in it. That's always a question. By the way, you never put a question in paragraphs 1 or 2. It's just too confusing. Like that's like an email you get from your mom. How are you doing, Dan? By the way, I saw your sister. She's got kids. Have you seen the kids lately? By the way, when are we coming over? And I'm like, which question am I answering? I'm going to answer the last question, right? And so we'll talk about that formula in a second. 4 to 5 sentences max. Start with the word you. Okay, this is a simple adjustment I want all of you to do starting tomorrow. Start your emails with the word you. For a second, it'll make you think, because you might sit down and go, I'm writing you because we're supposed to meet, or I wanted to get you these numbers, or start your emails with the word you, Y-O-U. You and I met at GITPRO, right? Start with the word you, and see how that changes the conversation. It's like a small mind hack. By the way, we had a couple neuroscientists, 2 of them, in fact, on our team, a couple thousand of hours of research and looking into this stuff, like how do we get inside people's heads and get them to respond, make it about them, and they'll respond. Start with the word you. Only have 1 link and 1 phone number. And please, if you have, I still get emails from people with their fax number and their signature. Like, I'm hoping no one in this room does that, right? That not like we don't need to, like even if it's an e-fax number, that's not cool. So just drop that off. And only 1 link and 1 phone number. By the way, the best place to bury your best link is in your signature, not in the body of the email, right? So if you drop drop it into your signature, people will respond. Why? It's non-threatening. Again, theater. It's non-threatening. They assume that link's there. Now, let me throw a romantic idea in front of all of you. What if you had 14 different signatures, slightly different, 14 different emails? What then? Well, then you can control the entire conversation, right? And know how they're navigating just by the URL, okay? No yes, no questions. We never ask yes, no questions. I hear these people saying, like, can you meet tomorrow at 2? Like you're meeting with a busy person. The answers are probably not, right? No. And again, once I have someone saying no, it's very hard for them to change and say yes. They're just saying no, 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 no. So let's talk about 1-to-1. So kind of crudely, the first paragraph is like, what do you want? What do you want? Like, you and I met, and we agreed that we're going to help Oracle generate a good bazillion dollars, right? And you asked me to follow up with you. That's sentence number 1, right? And it might be something like this. You know how frustrating it is. I love that some of you know how upsetting it is, because inside someone's mind they're going, yeah, it is kind of upsetting, right? So we're leading them to a spot that they're already at that they may not be in touch with, right? We're playing a little bit of like closet therapist here. So you know how frustrating it is when, and I fill in the blanks on what that is, when your team members don't get in line and do what they're supposed to do. Then paragraph 2 is all about what you can do about it. And I call this the who gives a shit paragraph. You ever read an email and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Like, what do you want from me? Why would I care, right? Why do I need you? Answer that for them in 2 to 3 sentences in the second paragraph. Well, we just happen to specialize in generating bajillions of dollars, right? That's what we do. And we've done it for other people just like you, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Put some bona fides in there, put some credibility. And we have a unique process that does blah, 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 blah. Like 2 to 3 sentences, people. 2 to 3, that's it. And then the last paragraph is a simple question. And one of my favorite questions to ask are like two-word question sentences, like fair enough, sound good, makes sense, cool, right? Like that's one, I know, I get it. Some of you guys you're off by 50%, totally get it, you're right. But just asking simple questions that get people to respond. Again, I said earlier, the KPI I'm measuring is momentum. Momentum. And momentum is not one email, it's your ability to respond over my 14 emails at 30 days. Make sense? Now, since all of this is written ahead of time, I know how the story ends. Right? Kind of.
Well, that's how the theater goes. Yeah, you know the plot line.
It helps, especially if you're acting in the movie, if you know what, like, oh, okay, so I take the poison and then you stab yourself and then the Shakespearean play ends, all the same, right? It's helpful if you know how this ends. And so since you write this ahead of time, you automatically know, okay, I don't need to hard close you because I know I've got another email and another thing and it's all nerdy and cool and it's going to work. So I don't need to get needy, right? I don't need to be over the top. All I need to do is play my part really, really well. So a couple things I advise for people in this is like run through this process yourself. It's shocking to me the number of times people send emails and like your signature was off, or like you get this email and because your email editor like double spaced it, like you know the trick, right? You hit shift and enter and it won't double space, it'll single space it. Like, I'm surprised at the number of people who just send really poorly crafted, like the content's kind of okay, but the formatting, it's like you took a nice apple pie and threw it on the floor and said, eat it. And I'm like, I love apple pie, but I don't love that apple pie, right? So, like, don't make your emails that apple pie, right? So, run through the process. Adjust anything that violates the 2 rules. Is it easy for them to do business with you? And 2, is it awesome? So, for example, that's why we have 1 phone call. Like, sometimes I'm looking at this thing that's like direct number, office number, mobile number. I'm like, so what's the difference between the office number and the direct number? And like, should I just call you on your mobile number? I've just wasted 14 seconds, and now I'm kind of angry at you. Like, I kind of want to talk to you, but you've wasted my time, and now I don't know if I really want to talk to you, right? And I should not be having that conversation in my brain. I should be like, oh, this guy's pretty awesome. I'm calling him, and here's the 1 number I'm going to call him at. Got it? By the way, if you think this is all crazy, then you're not really clear on what's happening in the mindset of your prospects, because this is exactly what's happening inside their heads. And then communicate with your entire team exactly how this will be going on. Think about theater again. Like, what if I'm just doing my lines and I'm like into it, and I'm like, yeah, like I'm crushing it. It's like, dude, like there's all this other stuff going on. You have to let the rest of the play happen. So communicate. If you're in pre-sales and there's like 2 or 3 people in this world of account-based selling on everything, right, we're doing now, like the recalls multiple people. So if in your 14 steps you have an email from the actual dude who's sending this out, SDR, BDR sort of person, and you want an email coming from someone on the side, and maybe you've got this set up so marketing sends an email as well, like it's helpful if everybody's on the same page. By the way, this is as easy as getting all of those roles in the same room and just talking it through. Okay, that's it. That's it. It's not that hard, but again, shocking to me a number of times it does not happen. And then what happens is, again, Jack, back to your early point, someone will do something, and the reaction from someone in pre-sale support or the first person's like wacky, and you're like, dude, follow the script, right? Like, his email 2 and 3 is saying this thing, and you're not, like, you're acting like you don't know what's going on, right? So just do that. Use smart tools. We love Close. I love Close, C-L-O-Z-E. How many of you have heard of Close? So everyone talks about AI. So I never had it, but in CRMs, most of them suck because even if they say they're like fully automated, they're not. So what I love about Close is this: it runs on my phone, and whenever I make a phone call, without using the app, like some things make you use the app to do it. Even if I make a phone call, just using my regular cell phone, like hitting the phone app and running it, it automatically logs it. It logs the amount of time, logs who I was calling, especially if that phone number's found in Close. I got 7 or 8 emails that are all connected to my Close account. Some of them mine, some of them my clients, right? Because I'm acting on their behalf and things like that. Every time I send an email, it's automatically logged to the account. And then if someone says, hey, can we have a call? It automatically says, AI says, Dave, can you have a call, right? And automatically deals are created by associations and what's in the content of emails. And like for me, I've got 68,000 people inside my Close CRM. And by the way, it's like $19 a month. So, and it integrates with Salesforce and things like that. So you can, if you want to use your favorite tools and have tools that make you money, you can do both. So, Close, Asana. I like this app called Bonjoro. Anyone heard it? $40 a month. When you want to send someone, again, it's another messaging app on my phone. I can be right here talking to you guys right now. Flip open, hit the Bonjoro app. It opens up a screen, and I can send an email to somebody with just, hey, Satish, thinking about you, hope you're doing well, buy my shit, thanks, bye, boom. You get a video of me saying that on your phone. And I'll see if you watched the whole thing or whatever. But it's another way to break it up, right? And when was the last time someone sent you a video email?
I do that all the time.
You do, okay. So there's always one overachiever in every group, or 2. But so now, do you see why that might be a good idea when no one else is doing it? All of a sudden now you're the person that they're like, that was cool. I finally got, that's pretty neat, right? So anyways, okay, so we need to kick things off, and then do one more check of everything, like make sure the links work. We don't send PDFs to people. We use this product that creates like magazines that you can actually flip and turn. They look really good. But what's cool about it is, like, if I've got like a 15-page sales brochure, someone says, what's your pricing? in the URL bar, I'm like, blah, 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 P equals 4. It takes them right to page 4. And by the way, what's on page 5? I don't know, but you're going to see it. And then you're probably going to be poking around with your finger and be like, oh, this is pretty cool. And you flip through it, and I've sold you some more shit. And oh, by the way, I get a report of what pages you looked at, for how long you looked at them. And then I might put a dot that strobes. Doesn't even say what it is. It just does a little ripple. And you're like, what happens? If you see something red, you want to touch it. You're like, got to do it. And it's a video going, gotcha. No, I don't say gotcha. But it just says all of the cool things that we do, right inside there. And again, I'm taking something where a PDF would be probably good enough, but a PDF isn't awesome, and I'm leveling it up to something where you go like, that was cool. Even if you don't do business with me, you show it to your friend, like, hey, check this thing out. This guy gave me this thing. It's like a little magazine. How do we do that? So let's talk about how this might work, right? How this might actually work. So start small. Another thing is apologize if something goes wrong. I actually like when things go wrong for a campaign like this because most people won't apologize, and apologies are a great way to like get someone's attention because you're like, oh shit, like in all caps, like, and you put a nice GIF in there of someone like, you know, screwing up and punching themselves in the face or something like that. You're like, epic fail. Sorry about that. We were well intentioned with our witchcraft, but we kind of, yeah, we screwed up. Sorry about that. And call them, ask for feedback. Okay, don't skip steps. Okay, all that. No. You get all that. So let me tell you the effectiveness of this. Real project, real customer. They said, billion-dollar customer out of Seattle said to us, we want 400 people to go after. We said, not really 400. There's about 200 that are legit, like that we can actually do, not 400. Out of that, I said, what would success look like? Like, what do you want? Because, you know, they're paying you good money, and I'm not cheap. And neither is my team, so it's like, well, what would be success? So you keep paying me, we keep doing good things for you. They said, well, we think 3 to 4 deals. These are larger deals. So like that would be like home run, because we're not able to do that. So if you could do that, that's really magical. So we went through this whole process. You know, it takes time. You can imagine when you're putting together this level of witchcraft, it's like, you know, it just takes a little bit of urgency and time. So we kicked this off out of 200 people that we dropped into our magic methods and mindset. Out of 200, we actually had conversations with 196 of them. So if you're, yeah, that gives you a little bit of a nod, right? That's a 98% engagement rate. People like to talk about opens. We don't care too much about opens. In fact, we don't even really care too much about clicks. They're there, and I get the report, and it's like, yay, thank you. What I really care about is conversations. So 98% conversation rate. What actually happened was we got them 3 deals, and then we got them 80 more, and so we ended up closing 83 deals on their behalf. What actually happened was another problem, which if you pay me, I can fix it, right? Which is now how do we service all these people? What's the other side of the funnel, right? So you get the funnel coming in, you got the execution funnel going out the other side. How to actually make that happen? And so, by the way, that happened in 45 days. We actually wrote an article about it. I've kind of taken it down at the request of the customer that like we don't want to give away all the magic, like maybe keep some of this secret. But I think there's an article that I've sanitized on my site about we did more business in 1 month, it really was 2, but 1 30-day period than we had done in an entire year for this one company. Just executing this exact process. So, oh, and by the way, I'll put this in here. This was a fun stat. We were so busy executing this process that for 11 days, that's why I say really like 2 months, because we were so busy, we actually had to put the program on pause, like no more people. By the way, do you want to guess how many new prospects we added to the top of the funnel each day? Is it up here? Oh, it's not. Oh, delightful. Anyone guess? How many people do we go after?
10?
10? What do you think? 500? So no, our total addressable market for this was 200.
So you would have done
100 or 200 or
Well,
no, but
you have
you were
to
getting
multiple
more
times.
clients.
So our top of the funnel was 200. Top of the funnel was 200. Bottom of the funnel was 196.
So you have everybody every day.
So we added 5 new people a day. 5. So 40 days. 40 days we've gone through. Actually, it was 51 because We had 10 to take 11 days off where we were so busy. Because if you're putting 5 people in the top of the funnel and you're speaking with like 4.5, like go figure out that math, right? Some days all 5, some days 3 out of 5. Like, and if you're spending an hour with them on the phone selling them magical stuff, you would now have most of your day consumed by making money. Like, even though it's like this much effort to like add 5 more people to the top of the funnel, right? You just hit a button and 5 magically more appear. Because we were so incredibly busy as it is, we had to like take a pause and be like, hey, we're gonna go insane if we don't take a pause. So it changes radically because we're used to, as you even mentioned, we're used to adding thousands and hundreds. And it's shocking to stand in front of you all really smart people and say, we did this with 5. We keep doing it with 5 to 10, and now sometimes 20 a day to make all of this work. Now, let me go back to where I started, and I'll wrap this up. And by the way, if you have questions, I'd love to answer all of them again. Listen, so this is real life. This happens every day with our customers, and I've given you the exact formula. Some of you have taken pictures, and you can go do this on your own. None of this works if you're not willing to make changes. So one of the challenges we have, and it's kind of almost silly, if you dangle the carrot in front of somebody and say, I will give you billions if you change, you would be surprised at the number of people who say, yes, I'm going to change. That's what comes out of their lips, but they should be saying, yes, I'm going to change, right? And they don't. And they'll say things like, but does that really matter? Or like, that's just a tiny thing. Or, but this, here's my favorite one, but this is what we've always done. The process, it doesn't work. And so what I gently nudge all of you is to say, listen, mindset change, gotta change. You're no longer just a business person, you're a business athlete. What would Kobe do? I guess Kobe's not playing anymore, right? He's now making money here in the Valley with all of you. What would Kobe do, right? What does LeBron do? Does LeBron care what he eats? Yes. Does he care how much he sleeps? Yes. Does he care who he surrounds himself with? Yes. Does he have a therapist and multiple coaches to keep his head straight and his body in shape? Of course. So why would any of us be any different? So, I think, is that it? Is that my last one? Yes. So that's my last slide. That's it in a nutshell. Accel Partners hired me to talk about this to their clients, and I spent 4 hours. I did not spend 4 hours with all of you, so I feel like that's good for all of you, because we've not beaten this up. Any questions or things that I can answer for you specifically? Oh, sorry.
So do you have a specific date when you should send the emails out? Is there a preferred date?
Someday.
Sorry.
Any day works.
Okay. It's not like a Thursday as opposed to a Monday. Or...
See, here's the thing. So this it's like a little bit of a soapbox that I'm going to get on, so don't hate me. So I hear people talking about like, you know, the best emails are sent Tuesday between 9 to 11. This is fine. This is great. But what gain do you have? You have like a 2% gain or a 0.5% gain. This is not even worth my time. So I just showed a way where I'm connecting with 98% of people. I don't care. I know that over 30 business days and my 14 steps, I'm going to connect with you anyways, whether it's that Thursday at 3 p.m. or Tuesday at 1:14 a.m.
The other quick question is, do you have an unsubscribe button in the emails that you send?
No. Why would I?
Okay. Because what if somebody sees this as a spam?
Then I've failed on a lot of it. Can I get back on my soapbox for a second? So there's two. So again, this may seem like heresy. Let's hang for a moment in the Church of Dan, okay, for 2 seconds. Okay. So a lot of people will feed you bullshit, about permission-based marketing. Okay. This is the lunacy of this. Let's say you're in your house and you're sleeping and your house is on fire, God forbid. Let's not even think about it, but let's say it's actually happening. And someone's driving by and they stop their car and they're like, oh no, your house is on fire. They come running in the front door, breaking stuff apart like the Hulk, right? They're like running up the stairs, they find you, they carry you outside like in one of those movies, slow motion, and set you down. 0 out of 0 times will you ever say to them, oh my gosh, why did you get me out of bed? I was sleeping and you broke my door, and what is going on? What do you say?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so lesson. If you're saving me and I feel like you're saving me, I don't need permission to save you. It's actually my obligation as the hero of the universe to save you, right? Rule? We all agree? Rule? So if you're the hero, the rules don't apply. Let's talk about the second thing. Now this goes way back. But there used to be, when you go to the mall, there'd be like these little pads, and you would, with a pencil that like barely worked, and you would write your name and address on it. And it was the Western Clearinghouse. And like Reader's Digest, which I guess is around anymore, but maybe, I don't know. But what would happen is, they would give away like these giant oversized $10 million checks. If you're out, so you'd be in your home, be eating dinner, it's like 7 p.m. at night, you're with like the kids and family, and you're like, yes, we're having dinner. This is what we do as family, right? Or what we used to do. We don't do it anymore, but we would eat dinner and all together. And so let's role play this. You're in your house, you're eating dinner, you're with family. How was your day, Johnny? How was your day, Sally? Everyone's been around the table eating dinner. All of a sudden, not. And you come to the door, and there's a camera, and they're like, surprise! And there's balloons and a big check, and they're like, you're the winner of the $20 million Western Clearinghouse, whatever it is. I don't even know anymore. Like, yes, Publishers Clearinghouse, whatever it is. Yeah, you can see how informed I am about this. Okay, I've never gotten a check. Maybe give me a check and I'll know more about it. Like, again, let's go back. 0 times will you say to them, like slamming the door, like, how dare you? This is my supper time, and that is sacred. And I mean, how the gall of coming to my house when I'm having lunch or dinner or whatever we were talking about, I forget now. But you get the story, right? Why? So if you're the hero of the story, the rules don't apply. And I'll propose another theory to you, that if it's awesome enough, if it's incredible enough, if it's magical enough, insert the right adjectives in there, once again, the rules do not apply. And so if you force the rules upon yourself, then you're obligated to play by the rules. But if I live in such a way that the rules do not apply, don't fault me because I'm awesome, right? So you've been freed from these rules, right? So you can go forth and prosper. Make sense though?
Thank you.
Somewhat believable too, right?
Yeah.
I could be giving you complete crap, but it's not. It's actually really good.
I'm not sure whether I missed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
What is the context on this? Is it a product, services, the example what you gave?
They'll both be different.
Internet.
Oh,
Do you call this as a growth hacking or is it a general process?
I don't like hacking. Let me tell you why. Because in my mind, when I meet a lot of growth hackers, and by the way, this is putting a smear on a lot of good people, so I'm not trying to do that. But it's like, how do I get quick wins? Like quick wins. And I'm always in search of quick wins instead of how do I create, one thing we talk about is how do I manufacture awesome? That's the business I'm in. I don't want to keep hacking and hacking and hacking and hacking. I'm always going to be experimenting, which you might call hacking. I'm always going to be iterating, which you would probably call hacking. But the reality is I'm in the business of manufacturing awesome. I want to come in, hit the lever, and all the machinery starts cranking out awesome, right? And then I want to go home and be like, well, that's what we did. We made awesome. So it's going to be different context. So that's your question about context. It's different, obviously, for services versus product. I mean, in our world, one of the things we talk about all the time is how to make what we do really relatable because we work in so many different industries. And when you're talking to people that are, computer savvy and internet savvy and have the tools you can plug into, it's like a no-brainer. On the other hand, like one of our clients was one of the largest health insurance companies in the world. They're now doing a big merger. Actually, both the corner store, drugstore company was our client and the big health insurance company. And what's interesting is like, when you're at a 100-year-old company like that, yeah, the context is completely different. But the process is still the same. So in that graph I showed you, a lot of urgency, take the air out, more urgency, let you go back. And the results are still the same.
How big was the team? The example what you gave?
On our end,
Yeah.
30-ish or so people, all doing different tasks. I mean, when it comes to execution day, it's all based off of 2 or 3 people. But getting that together, everything from creating funny GIFs, if I can't find them, to video promotion, to the PDFs which we turn into those magazines. There's all these different little assets that we level up that require really designed sort of people.
Thank you.
And what is the total revenue size?
A lot.
How much in billions?
Yeah, it's a big number. Yeah.
So,
I'm always afraid one day I'm going to have this client in the room and be like, you cannot talk about this.
So I have one question and 2 comments, but
Yeah.
the first question is, most of the time people focus on how their product is awesome, not about how to make whoever you're trying to sell being awesome.
Yeah.
So maybe if you can comment on shifting the mindset.
Yeah,
That-
so,
I'll add two more comments, nothing to do with this.
yeah, sure.
So, LinkedIn has introduced a new feature from networking. I don't know how many of you exactly talking about it. There is something called proximity. So if you go to LinkedIn and enable proxy, you can connect with everybody in this room.
Cool.
So they're trying to make it simple. And I do this, being awesome not just applies only to the sales, it's for your IT, everything. In my hiring, I do that. I tell why you need to join my team. So that's the comment, yeah.
No, so I'll add one bit to this. Again, and this is what's hard to quantify, but this is, I'll say something, this is inarguable right here, what I'll tell you next, is that it's not so much about manufacturing awesome, it's about making people feel awesome.
Correct.
So you might have stats that look good, or you might even have a process where it's like, oh, just do it, just hit the button and do it. But a big part of momentum and building a process like this is making people feel awesome. Now, if you're really smart and you're like that side of your brain that has all the feelings has been squashed down by computer code and other AI stuff, you may need to get somebody on your team who can do the feeling stuff for you. But you have to have it, because you're looking at it going, well, I don't understand why it's not working. Another reason why I'm not a big fan of the hacking sort of culture is like, you know, again, we're scraping at 2%, 5%, 10%, and I want 98%. And so when you make people feel awesome, they're gonna buy from you. By the way, another reason why it's helpful to have the 200, not thousands, is I know if I don't scorch the earth, right, with these people, if I have this process that's measured and managed and allows me to connect, they're gonna buy from me. It's not if, it's just a matter of when. So I'm content knowing I'm gonna get a bunch of you now, the rest of you are gonna buy down the line, right? Yes, sir.
So most of the time, we will be measuring the cost of acquisition of the customer.
Yeah, yeah.
So in this metric, what you show, it only has the number of people, number of days and things like that. What is the number you achieved from the cost of acquisition of the customer for the scenario you showed?
Yeah. So the usual measurement is you want your lifetime value to be like at least 3 times greater than the cost of acquisition. So I'll just give you this number, because if I told you that number, it would tell you how much we charge, which was lots and lots of money. Their lifetime value, by that is their number, it's not our number, was 17 times more than the cost that they paid us to help them acquire.
But the lifetime value comes from the repeat business. So it also considers the churn and everything, right? So I mean, how do you?
And that's their numbers. I didn't come up with it. How do we impact that? So, again, for this particular project, I'm paid to stay in my lane and do this. Go after these 200 clients, get as many of them as I can. We haven't done a follow-up assignment for them. Their CEO got replaced and a bunch of different things like this. But I can see there's a lot of need for the other side of the funnel. So we kind of feel like we have a good engine for getting them to the closed deals. The launch side, which includes upselling and doing a whole bunch more work to get them back into the funnel for more products, is lacking. We didn't touch it. But they could spend more money and we would fix it.
So I'll ask you the other question. What should be the target cost of acquisition of the customer?
It's different for each person. It's different. I don't have that number. You know, the bare minimum is 1/3 lifetime value, right? But if you're selling a product like where we're selling, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars for our work, you know, you're not spending anywhere close to that. So it's a case by case basis.
So just to give a context, some keywords when you buy it's $14, some keywords when you buy in Google it's 10 cents. So depends on which customer you are trying to target, the price varies.
No, the keyword is only one.
I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one, yeah, there's like, when you start looking at it, by the way, when you start building your full CAC model, I mean, there's a lot. There's the guy who does support, even if it's part-time. There's a lot of factors, from people maintaining or building web assets to answering phones, and so you have to be really honest about the full model. Yeah. But it's different, and that's why in your research process, it does take a little time to go, wait a minute. So in our model, you wanted 3 deals, we had 83 deals. So it's just like, it's massively better than you ever expected. However, the problem is you can do that once or twice with the customer, now they're expecting that, right? So the new standard's going from this to this. And I've kind of almost hurt myself by leveling up the game that far, right? So then it's like, okay, that's fixed. Let's go fix something else. But you should have a definitely clear look at that, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to represent the not awesome other end of the email here. I started to hate LinkedIn. I'm 30 years as an engineer, right? I get emails from people, they want to be my contact. I've never heard of these people in my life. There's no absolutely zero greeting other than they poke the button. Or they send me a job application or prospect for the wrong trade, like electrical engineering, I'm a mechanical guy. They had done zero homework. They don't know me from anything. It's just like, you just disqualified yourself in the worst possible way. Like, I'm never talking to you again. And if I could, there's no spam button on LinkedIn, or I've been open all the time. It's like, so it just makes me bananas. I get like several of these a week. So that's the other end of the spectrum, right? And the question I had for you though is, and it's off topic, I'll understand, we can talk later. How would you pitch to someone, I want to recruit endurance athletes to get off the sofa from like zero-time athletes to do a century ride. So I'm curious how you would shape this process for that.
Yeah. So it's consumer,
Okay.
right? No, I'm asking, right? You're going after individuals,
Yes.
and they're paying for this?
Well, they have to pay to be part of the team, yeah.
Okay, and so probably the lowest hanging fruit for you would be to go after guys who used to be athletes and have taken a pause on that and need to go rebound. Or it could be like, I'm a runner. My wife cycles. She's got a whole bunch of friends who, so I think that's called cycling.
Yeah.
I call it like bicycling, but they tell me that's not the right word. But they have these fast bikes and things like that. And so, what's funny is guys will go from running to cycling, maybe for your knees or something like that. So I think it's just a natural progression from some of that.
Well, I guess the more specific thing is people never saw themselves as endurance athletes taking on that challenge.
So I would say, so that's probably, my advice would be that's too far of a leap. So that's the whole crossing the chasm sort of like thing. That's too far of a leap. So I started running in 2012, so it's been like, 6 years? So I've run 17,000 miles in 6 years. Or maybe 18,000, I forget the track, it's been a bunch. My first ultra was in 2012, and it was like a 50K or 55K or something like that. But my first 100 wasn't till like 14 or 15, something like that. It wasn't until I'd run for a while that I actually attempted something like that. So I think and again, we can talk about this offline, to go from nothing to 100, even if it is cycling and you've got wheels, that's too far of a leap. But if you could, there are a lot of cyclists who've done half centuries who don't envision themselves. So maybe the next one step down from your 0 to 100 might be those of you who've done a third of a century or half a century.
What is the tool that
Last-
you say
last
convert
two
PDF
questions.
to magazine?
Oh, come on, man, why would you ask me that? So one of them, one of them is Flip HTML. It's like $400 a year. When we first started out, that's what we used, fliphtml.com. Now we just, if we can, we code them ourselves.
One last question anyone has?
SEO also works.
What is it?
SEO is also very good.
I know. So so let's talk about 1% changes, theater success. I hate these apps like Scribe, Issue, that put their damn branding on the PDF. Again, you've got a magical thing, and then someone puts their logo on it, and it takes that, again, it goes from 0 to 0. Again, I may be too,
Pay a little bit, they take all the time.
yeah, so I want a couple things, like I embed it into my own site, I want to do a couple things, also like, we want to track with heat map technology where someone's hovering their mouse or things. So there's just a couple things that you do. But yes, again, that's where I go like so close. I love it, and then I'm like, oh shit, it ruins the whole experience. So thank you guys, appreciate you having me today.
You big Awesome.
Thank you, Dan. This was definitely awesome and will be helpful for our leads. Thank you everybody for making this session of the GITPRO. And I'd like to thank the Chugh company who allowed us to use this facility. And the last thing is that for GITPRO, if you have any question or if you are not registered for today's program or if you want like to get membership and in contact with us for future periodic tech talks like this, please see me after this. Now we have a pizza shop and we'll get more time to work with Dan also.
It's Chugh from.
Yeah, you do.